What is going on, guys? We are live. We have the Bears schedule. Welcome into episode number 4, Club Dub Podcast, presented to you guys by sportsmockery.com. Guys, we got a schedule. We know where the Bears are playing. We know who they're playing, and it's a brutal schedule. One of the toughest in the league. Thank you for correcting me on the analytics today, Erik. I thought it was the toughest schedule, but the experts who punch the numbers say it's only the third toughest schedule. Either way, it's brutal. We're going to get into it, but how are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well.
Good. Yeah, finally the hype is over and we have a schedule. It's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. One thing that really popped out to me right away is there's no back-to-back games at home or away. It's
crazy.
Alternated every week, right? That's so weird.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that before. That's a first for me.
Yeah,
definitely.
You think it would give a team? I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I like that. It doesn't really give a team a chance to kind of get a nice home cooking kind of going, especially if they're going through a tough patch early on in the season. But yeah, let's hop right in. Let's talk about the schedule. It came out just a little bit ago. I'll pull up the graphic here of it today. Apologize for the smaller font. It looked better on my screen, but the Bears open up Sunday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams. So that's going to be a fun one. I think a lot of people were expecting a bigger matchup maybe to start the year, but these are two big markets. This is going to be a pretty big game to market, especially if the NFL is betting on Fields starting week 1. But just giving this schedule a look, what are we thinking? What are the things that pop out to you guys right off the bat?
Well, for me, it's a tough schedule, but there are areas that you can call quote unquote soft spots that they might be able to navigate through and still stay afloat long enough for them to find some sort of momentum. But there are going to be stretches that are just absolutely death marches if they're not careful. They really need to stay healthy this year, and they're going to need some good play from their quarterbacks because they're facing a slate of quarterbacks that is pretty brutal in terms of, proven veterans and up-and-coming youngsters. I mean, and this is without the possibility of Aaron Rodgers. If he also plays, that just makes it that much worse. So, it's going to be difficult from the beginning to the end because one false step can see them, go through another stretch like they had to endure last year with that 6-game losing streak.
I think it's remarkable that despite the collaboration press conference, despite 2 back-to-back 8-8 seasons, despite Andy Dalton and the QB1 tweet, the Bears have 4 primetime games and 5 overall nationally televised games. Actually, technically, I think it's 6 if you include the Bucs game as the America's Game of the Week in Week 7. That's insane. And sure, there's some projection here that the Bears at some point are going to turn to Justin Fields. The fact that their primetime games are backloaded in the second half of the schedule, this is probably the NFL thinking that, okay, by then they're probably going to have turned to Justin Fields. So I get that there's some projection there, but I think it's insane. And they did not come out with primetime games, this week or the last 2 weeks, right? I mean, this was obviously on the schedule from before. It had to have been, unless there were some crazy renegotiations happening, in the last 2 weeks, which I can't imagine was going to be approved. So it's just amazing that even so much weird news around the Bears and such a weird sentiment around the Bears, they are still such a coveted draw, and networks want them. And so that I thought was pretty cool. As far as the matchups go, obviously we've known who the opponents are for a while. Obviously knew it was a tough schedule, but yeah, I mean the quarterbacks they're facing this year: Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, maybe Aaron Rodgers if he plays. That would be obviously 2 games right
Lamar
there.
Jackson. Tom
Brady, Lamar Jackson, who
Kyler Murray too. I know we don't think he's great, but yeah.
But I mean, they are tough folks to game plan for and defend. So there is something to be done there. And then Russell Wilson. So it's quite insane. It should be fun. Obviously, welcome to your defensive coordinator job, Sean Desai, right? So that'll be
Sean Desai, man. Yeah, no shit. He's gonna have such a tough assignment. Look at week 6 through 9. Packers, Bucks, 49ers in here. The last one's cut off. I'm going to pull it out of there so you can see it. Steelers.
Well, honestly, you can go for week 11
on.
too, because even with the bye, that's a brutal schedule, because then you've got the Ravens coming out of it. So, it's not just those 4 games; it could be potentially those 5 games that determine the season for them.
I tell you
and
guys
realistically, I was going to say, and realistically, Detroit on Thanksgiving is not a cakewalk. We've seen the Bears, struggle to beat the Lions on Thanksgiving. A few years ago, 3 years ago, and then again 2 years ago when David Blau started in place of the injured Matthew Stafford. So it's anything can happen, right? So it'll be an interesting stretch there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what too. This Bears defense, man. You talk about Sean Desai. He's going to have an unbelievable start to this year if he wants this team to win games. I mean, Rams. I mean, you're getting a passing attack there right away. You know that. But you look at it. You got the Browns. You have to play the Ravens in Week 11, Cardinals, Vikings. I mean, these are all very run-heavy teams. I mean, look at the Browns and the Ravens are probably the 2 best running attacks in the entire NFL. And we almost thought that the Ravens were going to get week 2. Luckily, the Bengals kind of gives you a little bit of a breather in there. I mean, because if you start Rams, Ravens, Browns, that would have been an unbelievable start. But I'll tell you what, Eddie Goldman coming back is going to be big this year for them. He's going to have to stay healthy. Akeem is going to have to stay healthy. Even the Packers run the ball really well, especially if Aaron doesn't play for them this year. They're going to focus on Aaron Jones a lot. Do you think they want Blake Bortles throwing balls down the field? I don't think so. So, yeah, Blake Bortles, the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. You heard it here first. I am calling it. I am predicting it. Blake Bortles.
You're not on the Jordan Love bandwagon, man?
I don't know.
The legend?
It's funny. My roommate brought up a really good point this afternoon when we were talking about it. The guys who watch him and make those decisions on who should play haven't spoken out about Jordan Love. It's only been the general manager, Gutekunst, and Mark Murphy saying, "Oh, he's going to be great." They don't know shit. They're not putting guys on the field. It's LaFleur, and LaFleur has come out and defended Rodgers, which is funny, and I think that played into that today. But anyway, we'll get to Packerland later. This is like I said, this is a really tough schedule for this team starting off the year. And but the one thing I do love about it, the one thing that really sticks out to me right away is that beautiful Week 10 bye, right where every team wants it in the middle of the year.
Yeah, very helpful. And probably depending on how the season's gone up until then, and if the Bears haven't turned to Justin Fields by then, that's going to be a very interesting time. If the Bears are, so Week 10 means 9 games have happened. So, if the Bears are 5-4,
that's great math.
4-5, thank you. 5-4, 4-5, right? Middling, maybe need a push. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, "All right, Justin, here are the keys. Go send us to the playoffs." It'll be interesting. But if the Bears are, 2-7, 3-6. Maybe they say, okay, you know what, the season's lost. Let's put in Fields to show progress and prove to George McCaskey that, hey, look, we might have sucked with Andy Dalton, but here's Justin Fields. Look at how much better our offense looks. Give us one more year, and we're going to be awesome next year, maybe. But if the Bears are 6-3, 7-2, they may not make a move. Who knows?
At the end of the day, it always comes down to, how you handle your early schedule. A fast start can determine everything. It did for the Bears last year.
Yeah.
If they hadn't gone 5-1 early in the season, they never would have survived that 6-game losing streak that they ended up having. So it always depends on how you start. People always talk about how you finish, but good starts always determine whether or not your finish matters. So I think that's going to be critical for the Bears. I think that first 4-game stretch is navigable. It's tough. No, don't get me wrong about that. But if you can get out of that at 3-1, if possible, it can help them survive what's to come with that brutal stretch right before their bye.
Yeah, if you guys just joined us, Bears 2021 schedule just released this evening. We had a few leaks that were given to us earlier yesterday. We knew they were opening up the season on Sunday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams. A couple key notables, again, 5 primetime games, including Thanksgiving. They're at Detroit again. That's always a fun one. It'll be good. Packers Sunday Night Football Week 14. The Vikings Monday Night Football Week 15. Steelers, again, week 9, also Monday Night Football. I'm not a Monday Night Football guy, but it is nice to see that the Bears, again, are still being recognized. I don't know if that's necessarily because of their play last year, just because they did go 8-8, but I think it is because it's a big market. And that Rams, that Rams-Bears matchup will be easily marketed, especially, if Fields does end up playing. We don't know. I'm going to bet Andy Dalton will play. But the Rams are my pick to win the NFC this year. They're my preseason pick to win the NFC. They have a top 5 offense and a top 3 defense, and they improved in the one position they needed to. So that's going to be if the Bears can win that game. I know it's early on in the year; teams aren't going to be, looking their best. But if they can come out of Los Angeles with a win over the Rams and Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, that'd be a great way to start the year. Especially because, like you said, Erik, the first couple games. The Bengals is winnable. The Lions is obviously winnable at home. The Browns is also a winnable game, especially because it's early on in the year. It's going to depend on health. A lot of good running teams in here, but just a really difficult schedule overall. I don't know. If you're looking at the first few weeks of the regular season, where do you see this team record-wise when they get to the bye?
Me personally, I can easily see them, winning, 4 of their first 6 games. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And if you can get to there, I'm not as in awe of the 49ers and Pittsburgh as other people might be, because Robert Saleh is no longer the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. I think that's much bigger than people are, giving credit for. And you still don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. Obviously, they're going to always run the ball really well with Kyle Shanahan, but they have some quarterback issues to work out. And the Bears have always played them pretty tough when they've met them in the past. So I think they can win that game. And we have to remember the thing about Pittsburgh here is they lost 5 of their final 6 games last year. So don't be fooled by that 12-4 record they had last year. Something was going on with Pittsburgh before the end of last season. So I think that game on Monday night is very winnable, despite Pittsburgh always being a pretty tough team, and the Bears have always played them pretty well. So I think they can actually navigate that stretch, provided they're healthy and provided they're getting some decent quarterback play.
Taking into account, the regular caveats, right? Health when you're playing a team, all that kind of stuff. Even if Aaron Rodgers is on the Packers, I saw probably only 3 surefire, in my opinion, losses on this schedule. Like surefire, like you don't even have to show up on Sunday. The Browns, the Rams, and the Bucks. Now, yes, I know the Bears beat the Bucks last year and all that kind of stuff, but matchup-wise, and kind of just looking at how the Bears match up against these teams, I see those 3 teams as surefire losses for this Bears team. Now, there are other...
The Rams, who?
The Browns... Who? Yeah, the Rams, Browns, and the Bucks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, those are 3 surefire losses. And there are several other tough matchups here, but I do think the Bears match up pretty well against teams like the Ravens, to Erik's point, the Steelers, the 49ers, the Raiders, even the Seahawks, right? I mean, and quite honestly, the Packers. Yeah, they can compete. Now, that being said, before the bye, I really wouldn't be surprised if the Bears are, 5-4, I would say is a reasonable expectation for that. There could be a surprise game in there, right? That doesn't go the Bears' way. Maybe the Raiders game, for example. Just some things that can happen, during the season. But I would say 5-4 is a reasonable expectation looking at this, looking at the first 9 games.
Yeah, and for me, kind of, like you said, I agree that the Rams is probably a loss. They're my pick in the NFC this year. I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl if they stay healthy. I think they're the most complete team with a top 5 head coach. We've just, they were good last year, and they had injury issues at quarterback, and they held their own in that playoff game with their 3rd string quarterback. I mean, this is a team that I think is just going to roll in that game. But I think the Browns is winnable. That's a winnable matchup for the Bears. Their run defense was not great last year. Again, I think a lot of that, we pointed at Eddie Goldman being out. He's back. If he's healthy, that'll help out. If Trevathan and both Roquan are healthy and in there, that's going to be huge. But the Browns, man, Drew, I think you tweeted this. They only had 3 primetime games, which is very interesting because they are a very, very good football team. So that's going to be a tough one. I'd probably chalk that one up as a loss right now as well. Had a shot against the Buccaneers. They played them well last year. I think they'll have a shot at them again. But both those Packers games, if Rodgers is playing, you can chalk those up as losses too. And then I don't think they beat the Seahawks on the road either. So I got about 4 or 5 guaranteed losses in there. The Ravens game, I think, is winnable. They have a great defense, though. That's going to be a tough one. I almost give them a better shot to beat the Browns than the Ravens. But, it's a tough schedule. There's no getting around it. I mean, they start right out of the gate against one of the best teams in the league. And then, like you said, weeks 6 through 9, I mean, man, there's no breath in there. The 49ers, Steelers, it's all tough. It's going to be tough.
Just imagine, though, what could happen if the Bears go into SoFi Stadium and pull off a win, right? I mean, what do you do? How do you react to this team winning a game, primetime game on the road to start the season in LA against that, revamped team going from a bottom 8 quarterback to a top 7 quarterback? Like, that would be awesome. That would be a statement for this team. So, it's very interesting, right? I mean, 2 years ago, the Packers came in, held the Bears to 3 points, and stole a road win to open the season despite crazy hoopla surrounding the season. So, true, you never know, but then that would be really interesting. I don't know how Bears fans would know how to react. Like, Matt Nagy and the Bears, what? Like, I could imagine that being the prevailing theme on Twitter, but no, it's the best part about this time of year is you look at the schedule and everyone has hope. Everyone thinks their team's going to the playoffs. So it's just a fun time, but it is daunting. But quite honestly, most of these games should be a lot of fun to watch, I would imagine. And at the end of the day, right, it's entertainment. Like you hope the Bears are a fun team to watch, and that should be the number one thing going forward.
And I'd like to make an additional point about the Rams game. There's no question they've upgraded at quarterback. That much is obvious. Stafford is clearly superior to Jared Goff. But I want to keep an eye on that Rams defense because while they were fantastic last year, some things have changed with them. They got a new defensive coordinator. Brandon Staley is no longer there. So that's a variable that we don't know about. I've looked at Raheem Morris's track record, and it's not exactly great when it comes to calling defenses. And also, they lost one of their key starters, John Johnson, their safety. I think that's going to play a part in how they play this year as well. Aaron Donald's a year older. Jalen Ramsey's a year older. So you just don't know if they can maintain that sort of momentum as a great defense. I think they'll still be good, but as dominant as they were last year, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, Staley took the head coaching job with the Chargers, didn't he?
Yes.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, well deserved. That's a good pickup for them. I completely forgot about that. That's a great point. You never know how things year to year change with coordinators. We thought in Chicago things would be seamless from Fangio to Pagano, and that was as far from the truth as we could have predicted. I mean, the defense the last couple of years has not been up to par the way it should be. Hopefully this year's different. Yeah, if you're just joining us, guys, Club Dub Podcast, you can follow us on Twitter right now. We're live on our Sports Mockery page. I've retweeted the link on our Club Dub _podcast Twitter handle. Go ahead and give us a follow there. We'll have a lot of content retweeting Erik and Drew's articles, myself, all of that. Go ahead and give us a follow, our individual handles, and all that as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in. We're talking Bears schedule. It's a tough one. It's a doozy. If you're just tuning in, they open up week 1, Sunday night, against the Los Angeles Rams. Matt Stafford, just as Stafford leaves the division, can't avoid him. You get him right out of the gate. It's so funny how they do that. We're still waiting on, the Rodgers saga. Those are 2 big games on the schedule right there. Those could be huge, especially in your division. Those could be 2 big swingers. And then obviously the biggest takeaway for the schedule for me, they're playing on Thanksgiving again. I love that. I love the Thanksgiving game. It's just so much fun to hang out and watch with your family. And, they had luck on Thanksgiving against Detroit in the past. So that'll be a good one too. What games are we looking at for ourselves though? That's the fun part. Where are we looking to go road-wise? I want to go to Vegas, but where Drew, where are you looking?
So I made a pact to myself before the schedule was released that I definitely wanted to go to Cleveland. I'm a the Browns are kind of low key my second favorite team here. Big Baker Mayfield fan, and I lived in Cleveland during the summer of 2012, so I have a little bit of an affinity with Cleveland. And it just turns out that the game is scheduled on my anniversary, so I will probably die if I go. So I'm no longer going to Cleveland. I would love to go to Pittsburgh, Seattle for sure. Seattle's happening like 100%, and Las Vegas would be great. But it would be fun, but we'll have to see. I just saw someone tweet on about the ticket prices for the Vegas game, and it appears to be prohibitive.
You ever been out to Seattle, Lumen Field?
Yeah,
been out there.
Yeah, my sister lives in Seattle. So I've the last few years I've been out there quite a bit, and it's a beautiful place.
You've been to the stadium too?
Yeah, it's
Cool.
It's wonderful, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know, Erik. Where are you thinking?
Well, I'm not much of a traveler as Dhruv is, but I've always wanted to see a game in Pittsburgh. I think that it's a pure football city. I'm fascinated by their history, and I think seeing a game there would be really, really cool from a football tradition standpoint. Two old school franchises going head to head. And, that's a place I've always looked at that I'd really want to visit if I were ever going to go view a football game on the road.
Yeah, make it happen. There's a chance this year.
See, if it wasn't a Monday night game, I would really I still might consider it. We'll see. That Pittsburgh game, I have it circled as one of the three I'm looking at. I'm looking at Tampa. I've been to Florida a bunch though, so I don't really my buddy lives in Tampa. What's that?
The bloom is off the rose.
I've been to Tampa like a few times. It's a fine city, whatever. It's not a football city, but it's cool. It's nice down there. My buddy lives down there, so maybe. But I'm looking at Vegas in that new stadium, man. I already texted a few of my friends and some family members, and then we're getting some interest. So we might be looking at Vegas week 5. Where do you guys want to go? Let's hear the comments, guys. Whoever's tuning in. Where do you guys want to see the Bears this year? You going to any home games? I'm going to try and get to a few. I'm moving down to Chicago in a couple of weeks, and I'll probably look at maybe week 6 against the Packers. That 49ers game is interesting to me too. I want to go to a game where they win. So maybe Bengals week 2 is my shot. We'll see.
One of my I should say earliest memories, but one memory that sticks out particularly was the 2015 game against the 49ers. They had just beaten the Packers on Thanksgiving. They're hosting the 49ers, a good chance to make a playoff push if they beat an inferior opponent. And I'm on the other side of the Robbie Gould missed field goal. Aww. And then I'm on the side of the end zone where Blaine Gabbert ran for the game-tying touchdown and threw the game-winning touchdown in overtime. That was about as solemn as I've ever seen Soldier Field. That was rough. It was surprising too. It was I think the Bears were still under 500 at that point, which is what was kind of interesting about it. But there was legitimate shot to make a run there, but it was deflating after that game-tying touchdown by Blaine Gabbert. Great run back by, I think it was Deontay Thompson, if I remember correctly. And then the missed field goal by Robbie Gould right at the end of regulation. That was bad.
Yeah, that's tough. I've never seen the Bears lose at home. I've only been to 2 games, though. So I saw them clinch the division in 18 against the Packers. That was obviously awesome.
Nice.
And then I saw the Christmas Eve matchup against the Browns. It was one of Mitch's first games.
Oh, yeah.
It was snowing out there. I paid $20 to sit in the upper row because it was Christmas Eve. Nobody wanted to go. And I made it home in time for Christmas dinner, so it was all great. They won that. They won that game, too. The Browns were terrible. I think that was their winless season. I
think they won one game.
Oh, no, their winless season might have been the following year. I don't remember.
I think 2017 was a 1-win season, and the season before was the 0-16 season.
The 0-16.
Yeah, the funniest thing about that game, though, the only thing I remember from that Browns game was Myles Garrett's pick 6 getting called back.
I wish I remembered more of that game, but I don't. I was having some fun in the stands, throwing some Miller Lights back while also throwing snowballs. And our whole section ended up getting kicked out of that game because we were throwing snowballs. There's like, guys, there's 2 minutes left in the game. We got to get you out of here. You guys can't throw snowballs, whatever. It was fine. But I don't know. I'm looking at, I don't know. I'm going to get to at least a couple home games this year. And I'm going to get to one road game. I'll get to one. I don't know. I'm looking at that Raiders week 5 in Vegas. It'd be a lot of fun. Week 14 in Lambeau. It's gonna be too cold for me. I'm probably good on that. I'll watch that one on TV. But I would love to hear where you guys want to go. Go ahead and tune in. Again, we're the Club Dub Podcast. Give us your comments, concerns. If we suck, you can let us know that too. But actually, please don't, because I'm a little fragile. I want to be good at this.
Hey, speaking of telling us that you suck, man, I tweeted something yesterday. Oof. Yeah, I'll say this: Bears fans are back with a vengeance. Yeah. I tweeted something yesterday when Danny Parkins of The Score tweeted out that the Bears are opening on Sunday Night Football against the Rams. I tweeted out 3 things. The fact that the Bears are opening in primetime against the Rams being a good draw for the NFL. Justin Fields is not starting week 1 against Aaron Donald. And number 3, Matthew Stafford might hang 40 on the Bears. Now, anyone that reads this tweet knows that it's a little bit in jest. A little bit. He put 34 on the Bears at Soldier Field last year with the Lions roster. But that being said, man, my mentions. I tweeted this at 4:04 p.m. Eastern. Maybe for the first 3 hours, it was like, chill interaction, nothing much. And then after dinner, this thing blew up. It already has like 50 or something, comments on it. Most of them being like, I'm high, I'm this, I'm that. It's, I'll say this, man.
Are you?
Not quite, but
Matt Stafford is not hanging 40 on the Bears. You're out of your mind if he's not
I said
doing
might.
that.
I said might.
I would have been one of those angry fans in your mentions after that. There's no way that maybe the other two. I don't think they win the game though.
Is your burner in here? Is your burner in here, Kevin? In my mentions?
No, I honest to God, I don't have a burner, but I might make one. We don't know. I get so worked up about these games sometimes where I just have to tweet and let it out. So maybe I'll make a burner account. And if I do, we'll talk about it on here.
Sounds good.
You guys have burners? You guys have burner accounts?
I do not.
Don't have time for that, man.
I didn't think so. I didn't see. You guys don't seem like that type of crowd. But Bears Twitter, man, you're right. Woo. They are ruthless. They're back and we're pumped up, and we get that. And this is why the longevity in owning the Bears is so easy. We get so pissed at the end of the year. Give us a few months. We're right back on that train, baby. Let's get this thing going. Schedule's out. We got 4 months from today. 4 months from today, the season kicks off in Los Angeles, 7:20. I'll get to hear Al and Chris on the call on Sunday Night Football. I love Sunday Night Football, so as many of those we can get. I'm not a Monday Night Football guy. They haven't really gotten the booth right yet. I think they need better play-by-play and color guys. But
John Gruden needs to go back to the booth. I enjoyed listening to John Gruden's
I did too.
His commentary, and I liked Monday Night Football. So like I think I've told you guys before, I'm a consultant in real life and a lot of travel as part of my job, and big flex, huge flex. But part of it is okay, after a Monday morning of craziness and travel, whatever, you want to go back and chill, and first thing you do is pop on Monday Night Football. That's the routine during football season. Now it's not as fun, especially with the pandemic, being at home. Monday Night Football lost that charm a little bit for me, but I'm with you. Sunday Night Football is great.
I love it. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. So I'm glad the Bears have 2 games, and they may have more if they get flexed at least one. I think they can get flexed up to twice more, if I'm not mistaken. I think the max is 6.
Is that a rule? I knew that there had to be a cap on it, but okay, yeah. Max of 6.
Max of 6. Yep,
that's good to know. Here's the schedule one last time. If you guys are just tuning in, the Bears 2021 schedule is out. They open up the season Sunday against the Rams. We've been chatting about that. The home opener, week 2, is against the Bengals, so it'll be the Andy Dalton revenge game. Andy Dalton, if he starts, that is. I still think he will. on the road against the Browns, Lions at home, Raiders on the road, Packers at home, Buccaneers, and then hidden underneath the tag there is the Steelers on Monday Night Football Week 9. Big thing we were talking about earlier in the show, that Week 6 through 9 is absolutely brutal, especially if Rodgers is playing. The Packers aren't going to be a pushover even without him. They're certainly not nearly as dangerous, but Packers, Buccaneers, 49ers, and Steelers. I mean, that is just a tough go. And then you got the Ravens right after the bye. At least that's at home. The Ravens' offense doesn't scare me at all. I think the Bears will be fine if they're healthy on the defensive end, but it's going to be tough to score points on that defense. And then we're also talking about where we want to go. We'll probably be at some home games doing some shows, tailgating-wise. We hope to see everybody there, but this is no easy task for the Bears this year. This is a tough schedule. And we'll see. I think 9-8 season. Rodgers sits out. I think it's what we can maybe talk about. We can talk about 10-7, maybe 11-6, but I'm going 10-7 at best. I think more likely we're going to see 8-9, 9-8. I don't know if they're a playoff team this year just because of this schedule. It's brutal. Looking at the NFC, it's tough. The NFC North is no pushover. The Vikings got better. Granted, the Bears always play them well, but I don't know. You guys think they're a playoff team with this schedule?
They're borderline, just like they were last year. I think they still have a good roster. I think they've brought in some really nice young talent in their past 2 drafts, but they really need some of these young guys to start playing, like legit starters, not just common level starters, but, core guys. They need more of these guys to step up because some of their veterans like Mac, Hicks, some of these guys are starting to get a little bit older, so they need to get that next generation in. So
he's a busy guy. You got to pick that up.
Sorry about that.
Who's giving you a call?
That was my sister. Sorry about that.
I thought it might have been an angry fan being like, what are you talking about?
Well, she can be an angry fan.
We got to get so that we have to have aliases when people call us. That's the goal. That's the new goal of Club Dub. We got to get so famous in Bears Twitter that we got to use different names, even though they already.
This is why I have it's why I have a Jay Cutler avatar in my profile picture. But then Chris was like, "Hey, as part of your actual profile in Sports Mockery, you should probably have a picture of yourself." And I'm like, "Okay, well, there goes my cover." So now everyone knows what I look like. Everyone hates me for my takes. So here's an easy target, guys.
There you go. Now you have it. So if you really hate him, make a meme out of him.
That would pretty much. Long story short, I have them going 10-7. This is on the idea that Rodgers does not play. If he does, obviously my thoughts are going to shift a little bit. So I think they're very capable of posting a winning record and competing for a wild card spot, but not much beyond that until they really start to get above average play from the quarterback position.
Yeah, 10-7 would be wild. I mean, that would be great. I would take 10-7 twice on Sunday, every day of the week. That would be great, especially because we're talking about the strengths of schedule. According to Pro Football Focus, this is the 3rd most difficult schedule in the entire league. The Packers and Vikings both in that top 10 range. I think they're right after the Bears. So it's a tough schedule for the entire NFC North this year. Just having to play the NFC West. I mean, that's the best division in football. But if they can get 10 wins on this schedule, they're going to be battle-tested heading into the playoffs. I think 10-7 will get them into the playoffs. And if they do make it there, hey, who knows? Like that could be something. You got a lot of great wins on your schedule. Whereas last year, everyone knew 5-1 was a hoax. We knew that like they weren't playing. They had some weaker opponents early on in the year. They barely got past the Giants in week 2. This is different. I mean, you got the Browns and the Rams in the first 2 out of the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. So it's definitely going to be no pushover. But I'm going to say they make the playoffs. I'm going to go out. That's my prediction. I think they'll make the playoffs, and I'm with you, Erik. I'm going 10-7.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards probably a 9-8. Very likely. I'm gonna lean 9-8, and I think they can contend for that 3rd, maybe 2nd wild card spot. Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers really indeed is not gonna be on the Packers, then that changes the calculus a little bit. But I mean, quite honestly, 9-8 can still compete for a wild card spot, and people say, oh, they were a fraudulent, playoff team last year, and no, they weren't, because there are 3 wildcard spots, and that's a permanent rule going forward. So, it was a legitimate playoff spot, and they made it, and no, they didn't play well, but there's no reason they can't, make it this year and put up a better showing with, hopefully, again, better quarterback play in 2021, and learn from that. I mean, keep in mind, they have so many young players on their team now. I know they have, at least on defense, they have quite a few aging veterans, but on offense, they are relatively young. And so if they can be playing meaningful football again in November, December, challenging for a playoff spot in a year that, in theory, now that they have Justin Fields as the future of the franchise, they're not necessarily expected. I mean, they may have their own expectations, but no one is really expecting them to make the playoffs. If they can get these young guys that playoff experience and that competitive atmosphere this year, that serves, immensely going into next year.
I don't know. I think the NFL is thinking they can make the playoffs. They gave them 5 primetime games.
Right. That's fair.
I think the NFL thinks that they will be a playoff team. I think you don't give a team more primetime game. I know they're a big market, and the Bears fans, I mean, they're going to make you money regardless. We're all going to watch the games, even if they suck. I've said it a million times. I'm never watching this game again, and guess what? I turn out to watch it. But you're right. They're going to be right on the bubble again this year. This isn't again, we talked about this on our previous shows. This isn't we have to win now year. Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace, whether we want to admit it or not, they had a great draft this year, and they gave themselves another at least 3 years at the helm. It's Justin Fields. They gave themselves an extra couple of years, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. That's where we're at. But other news of the day. Oh, man, this is rich. Eat this up. Blake Bortles is a Green Bay Packer. Give me a break, man. Times are tough up there.
Yeah,
that's tough. Let me play you the world's smallest violin. That's tough.
Hate to see it.
First reactions?
Man, like, if this isn't a sure, and I think I told you guys in our little chat, if this isn't a surefire sign of an actual fire happening up in Green Bay, I don't know what is, because signing Blake Bortles, Jordan Love, is supposed to be at least your second string quarterback if Aaron Rodgers was there. They just had a bunch of quarterbacks try out for them, from what I understand, including Chad Kelly and one other guy. I forgot his name. And now they've signed Blake Bortles. So they are clearly preparing for something. And good for them for doing that due diligence. But this is definitely stoking those flames that Aaron Rodgers may not be in Green Bay next year.
It's a surefire confirmation that they're not entirely sure Rodgers will be back, despite them saying we're not going to trade him. He's going to play for us this year. We're confident of that. They've said that publicly, but clearly by signing Bortles, this is a message that, okay, we're not 100% sure he's going to be here, so we need to have some sort of depth. And Nathaniel Hackett being their offensive coordinator, he has ties to Blake Bortles, so that makes sense in that regard. But when you're signing Blake Bortles as insurance against anything happening for your team, you're in a bad spot.
Oh man, I got home from playing basketball. I just got out of the shower and I looked at Twitter and I saw the Schefter tweet and I just started crying laughing, man. That is so funny. How the turntables. Yeah, this guy, QB1 for the Green Bay Packers, Blake fucking Bortles. That is awesome. I don't know. I mean, obviously, to put things in another light, though, the Packers needed to get a quarterback. Tim Boyle was their backup for a long time. He's not there anymore. There's not the only free agent I can think of that's still out there. Is Tyrod Taylor still out there? Did he sign with somebody? He's the only.
I think he did sign somewhere.
There's no names out there right now.
It's picked clean.
Slim Pickens, yep.
So Blake Bortles is probably your best option. They did need to get another quarterback on the roster, so that I kind of understand. But I don't think they would have gone out and gotten Bortles if they knew Rodgers was here. They would have given some guy a tryout, have him on a practice squad kind of thing, and have Jordan Love as your backup. But I don't know. Who starts week 1 for the Packers? Bortles, Love, or Rodgers? I honestly, God, I think Blake Bortles might actually start week 1. I honestly think that's a possibility.
Man, oh man. If it's not Rodgers, I mean, if it isn't Jordan Love, that is bad for the Packers, like really bad.
Yeah.
So, man, I don't know. I have just knowing, right, that it's the Bears, right? So there has to be some sort of, balance to the universe, them getting, all these great players in the draft and good value. There has to be some sort of balance, right? And so I have this feeling that Aaron Rodgers is going to be back. I think they're going to eventually figure it out. But, and so I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers. But if it's not, for their sake, I hope it's Jordan Love's. But interesting theory that was brought up to me on Twitter, and I'll cede to you in a second, Erik. An interesting theory that was brought to me on Twitter. What if the Broncos and the Packers already have an agreement to make a trade, and they're just waiting on June 1st? I'll try to find who sent that over to me just to give them credit. Let me look.
It was the Broncos beat reporter, wasn't it?
No, it was someone. It was someone who brought it up to me as a theory. This guy goes by the name of Oren German.
Yeah.
At ORENGERMAN. Don't you think the Broncos and Packers have this sealed and are just waiting for the June deadline to pass? Who knows? Interesting conspiracy theory.
If you can do it before the draft, I mean, you can do it, before certain deadlines at any point in time. So I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, if I'm the Packers, the team I'd be looking at is the Raiders, because John Gruden is going to be all over the idea of Aaron Rodgers. He's in love with veteran star type quarterbacks. So, Aaron Rodgers would be right up his alley. And in return, the Packers could get Derek Carr. And all of a sudden, yeah, he's not Aaron Rodgers, but you still got a pretty, above average type quarterback. So I'd be looking at them if they're willing to make some sort of deal. But obviously, Denver seems like such a logical landing spot, both for what Rodgers wants and for the possible return that the Packers could get in terms of draft capital and that sort of thing. So, it can go any which way. But I think those two teams, the Raiders and Broncos, are the two teams to watch if Rodgers gets traded.
I mean, his best shot to win a Super Bowl has to be in Green Bay, though. I know, Dhruv, I know you said that the Broncos have a better roster. Why do you think that is?
Well, they have more talent and they have more depth at every position on the team, except quarterback, of course. They need that quarterback, but they have more depth at wide receiver. They have excellent tight ends. They have, I would say, maybe a similar offensive line. Very good running backs. Their defense is insane. Vic Fangio is their head coach. Like, they have it all. And I think, remind me of their offensive coordinator, but I do know that it's someone that Aaron Rodgers would mesh very well. It is Shermer.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty solid, offensive mind. So put Aaron Rodgers back there. I mean, that is exceptional. So yeah, I mean, I do think they are a much deeper, more talented team overall than the Packers are, who admittedly have, a I would say underrated roster. I think everyone talks about how Aaron Rodgers brings up that entire group, and it's true, but they have several good players, especially actually, on offense, we know for sure they have some star players, David Bakhtiari, Devontae Adams, very good running backs. And then on defense, actually, their secondary is very, very underrated and quite actually could make them very competitive, amongst some of the better passing attacks. But overall, if you look at the rosters, Denver has them beat.
Yeah, I think Darnell Savage led their team last year in takeaways, and he's not even the best player on that defense. It's Jair Alexander. They have a hole at that second corner, but again, the Packers have a solid defense. Kenny Clark up front is an emerging star. Zadarius Smith took a step back last year, but I don't know. I still think just with the stars that the Packers have on offense, I'd still take their roster right now. But that Denver defense, you're right, it's no joke. It's great. You pair Aaron Rodgers with that and a great defense. I mean, that's pretty darn good. And his girlfriend, I believe, lives in Colorado, right? So I mean, all of that makes sense. But for now, I'm going to really enjoy the fact that Blake Bortles is going to be wearing green and gold next year. That is so funny. And Erik, you brought this hilarious video to my attention. Everybody, this is the Packers quarterback for next season. One of them.
Questionable with a hamstring. First down, Bortles setting up screen. He's intercepted, and it's going to be a pick six for Chris Jones. But a flag is on the field at the 20.
Oh, who's it on? This is a big call.
Oh, it's so good.
How about those moves by Chris Jones? That was
He's an
pretty
athlete,
good.
man.
We need the Pinwheels and Ivy's guy to Photoshop some text on there like they always do with their faces on these GIFs. We need to have like Packers Super Bowl chances flying off to the left with Chris Jones Photoshop with the Lombardi Trophy heading right into the end zone. That was fantastic. Blake Bortles is a Green Bay Packer. Hard to believe that things have fallen so far there. Again, we don't know what the Rodgers thing. We don't know. Everything I've heard, it's not going well. But you're right. He could just show up week one. I know Mike Florio said this earlier this week. He could just show up week one and be like, "What was all the hullabaloo about? I was playing this whole time, And he could do that. We don't know. I don't know. That would be classic, though.
Mm-hmm.
It would be pretty classic. By the way,
what?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say if he went to Oakland too or Las Vegas, like Erik just said, that would completely ruin my road trip. So I hope that doesn't happen. I'm trying to go to Vegas. What road trip game? I want to hear what games you guys want to go to. Leave us some comments if you're going to some games this year. Bears schedule is out. That's why we're doing the show. We're talking. It's brutal. It's a really tough schedule. I want to go to Vegas. Erik wants to go to Pittsburgh. Dhruv is going to Seattle. And we'll get to some home games too this year. Maybe we'll even do a show from the Soldier Field parking lot. Who knows? We're gonna have some fun with this show, but a lot of good stuff going on. A show. Those of you who have just popped in or stopping by, we're about to wrap up. But this is the Bears schedule. Starts out on the road against the Rams. Sunday night football. Bears have 5 primetime games this year, which is pretty cool. And then they play on, the big one, they play on Thanksgiving again against Detroit. They're in Detroit for that one at Ford Field. So that'll be fun. But yeah, just looking at the schedule, guys, it is brutal. It is brutal. So
before we wrap, guess who's coming to Soldier Field in August?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Our
guy.
Friend. Indeed.
Mitchell Trubisky. Yeah, what is it, the second game of the preseason?
It is. It is.
Maybe we'll go to that one. That'd be kind of fun. Welcome,
oh, my
Mitch
God.
Welcome back, Mitch Signs. We'll all have.
You know what? Actually, that would be a lot of fun. Yeah, you know what? We should actually do that.
I don't know if I want to do that. I was just kind of
Mitch Trubisky versus Mitch Trubisky versus Justin Fields.
Oh man! If they don't trot Fields on the field at the same time that Trubisky comes in, come on, you got to do it.
Wait! Aren't they playing? Yeah, I mean they are supposed to be. I mean this is a backup bowl here, so you have Trubisky, right? It has to be Justin Fields.
That would be incredible. Well, Trubisky's going to get snaps for sure. Him being the backup, I'm sure he'll play.
I mean, they're not going to play Josh Allen for too long.
No, definitely not. And only being 3 preseason games instead of 4, I'm sure they're going to give him as many snaps as he can get. So yeah, I can't even believe it. Mitch Trubisky will be back at Soldier Field, second game of the preseason. And yeah, against Fields too. That would be a preseason game I would very much enjoy. Maybe let's make that happen. That would be really fun. Anyway, we're gonna wrap here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. The Bears schedule's out. You can find it online on sportsmockery.com. We are the Club Dub Podcast. Really appreciate, again, everybody tuning in on the show. We're having a blast with this. We'll be back shortly. We're going to talk some more. Rookie minicamp starts Friday. We'll talk about the first impressions. We'll get the first look at Fields, Daz Newsome, some of the other offensive guys. We'll get a look at Tevin Jenkins. All these guys are going to be in, and we'll have first reaction to that. Erik, I'm sure you'll be on top of it. Any good articles coming out in the next couple days for either of you guys?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I already have one for Newsome in mind. He's one of my personal favorite picks. And, I did something on Twitter recently where I just did a bunch of videos showcasing what a bunch of throws from Justin Fields that I really love. And that seems to have gained a nice little reception. So I might do videos for all the draft prospects, certain moments with Tevin Jenkins, where he's delivering some really nice blocks, if I can find the footage, obviously. And then, Newsome, Thomas Graham, maybe I'll do them all and, just give fans some stuff to chow down on as mini camps, training camp, OTAs, all that stuff comes down the road.
What I'm hoping when you post your Daz Newsome highlights, what I'm hoping is someone can join me in the comments and be like, "Damn, that quarterback looks really good. Those throws are amazing."
You Sam.
Get some Sam Howell love in here. Come on, guys. Come on.
There would have been if we hadn't drafted Fields.
I know, that's true. That's fair. Now no one wants to hear it.
Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord I don't have to listen to quarterback BS next offseason and you talking about Sam Howell. God.
It's going to be all wide receivers. I'm telling you right now.
This is true. It's going to be a lot of wide receivers.
Cool. Well, we'll have reaction on that, everything. I'll have some footage cut up for the next show on the rookies. Rookie minicamp starts Friday. Exciting time. Bears kick off 4 months from tonight. Kicks off the 2021 regular season out in Los Angeles against Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. You can find the full schedule online at sportsmockery.com. We are the Club Dub Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.